I'm Chef Haley Salajic, and I work at the Amesboro Hy-Vee. And today I'm going to be showing you how to make pumpkin spice cake balls with a really yummy cream cheese frosting. It's going to be great for the holidays. So I'm going to start by showing you how to mix the cake. We're going to do this really simply. I actually use a Hy-Vee spice cake mix, and you leave one of the eggs that it calls for out. So you follow directions, leave one egg out, and then we're going to actually add some pumpkin into it to add the extra moisture. So I've got my cake mix in the bowl here, and I'm going to add my pumpkin right in there. We're going to do 1 1/4 cup of water, 1/3 cup of oil, vegetable oil, Hy-Vee vegetable oil, and I've got 2 eggs. So the box calls for 3 eggs. I'm using 2 because I added that pumpkin in. So I'm going to just whisk this up. And this recipe is one that I would recommend you make the cake and cool the cake the day before, because you do need to freeze the cake balls in order to get the coating on there correctly. So you can make this a day or 2 ahead and let the cake cool. So I'm just going to whisk this up. Nice, pretty pumpkin spice color, and it smells really good in your kitchen when you're making this too. Alright, so we've got that mixed up. And I'm going to spray, this is 9 by 13, you could do this in 2 smaller pans if you wanted to, but we're going to end up crumbling this cake, so this is really the fastest, easiest way. Then I'm just going to pour the cake mix in, and I've got my oven preheated to 350, and we're going to bake this for about 30 to 35 minutes, depending on your oven. Keep an eye on it, so you don't want to burn it or anything, and every oven's different. So you can do the toothpick test, put your toothpick in, pull it out clean, and it's done. So I'm going to pop this in the oven so it's level. Like I said, at 350 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes. And so while we're doing that, I'm going to make the frosting that goes, we use some of it for the cake balls, some of it for the topping as well. It's really simple recipe. I left all these ingredients. We're using mascarpone cheese and a low-fat, 3rd fat Hy-Vee cream cheese. And I've left those at room temperature so they're easy to mix up so you don't end up with clumpy frosting. So in my bowl here, I've got a cup of powdered sugar. I've got 8 ounces of cream cheese, 3rd fat. And then I've got a cup, or 8 ounces of mascarpone, which is an Italian, kind of a light Italian cream cheese. It doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, so you can really flavor this how you like. So we're going to add that in there. We're going to add a teaspoon and a half of pure almond extract. I love almond. You could use vanilla if you wanted to, or even like an orange extract or something like that would be really good too. And then I'm actually going to kind of mix this up a little bit so we don't end up with a big mess. And I'm going to kind of slowly add my milk in. This mixer is pretty intense, so you might get a little messy. This is a fun recipe to do with kids too. They like to help in the kitchen, and why not get a little messy? So I'm going to add some more of my milk in and hopefully not splash this all over myself. And we want this to be kind of thin because we're going to use some of it to drizzle on top of the cake balls. And I'm adding in a cup of milk to this. So there we have that. And like I said, this is a little thinner than a traditional frosting because we are going to use some of it to use as a drizzle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate some of this out into another bowl, and we're going to put food coloring in that a little bit later. Okay, perfect. And then over here I've got a cake already done, and like I said, this needs to cool completely. So if you make your cake the day before, you can put it in your refrigerator, freezer, whatever you need to do, but the sooner you can make it and let it cool, the better. So basically, we're just gonna take this spice cake and crumble it all up. This is the fun part for the kids too. Crumble all this up, and then we're gonna use some of the frosting that we just made to kind of adhere it together. And this, to be honest with you, you can make this as sweet as you want. The more frosting you add, the sweeter the actual cake ball is going to be, and we are going to add additional frosting on the top too, so just think about that when you're making these. But basically we just want enough to kind of get this to start sticking together. So then we'll do from here is I'm going to make about a 1.5 to 2 ounce cake ball, and this yields 32 a piece for one cake. And so then you just form little balls. Like I said, you can make them smaller, bigger, depending on what you like. And so then you just put them on the tray like so, and then we're going to freeze these. At least 2 hours these take, because when we put them in the almond bark, we don't want any of the cake to fall off, and it'll look a lot more consistent. So you do that, and like I said, that makes about 32 1.5 ounce cake balls. So we're going to put that in the freezer, and I've got some done. So I have a whole package of almond bark, and I just microwave that for 1.5 minutes, stir it an additional minute, should be about perfect. And I did also add a little bit of vegetable oil into that. It thins it out a little bit, so that's, we don't want it too thin, but we want it easily coatable for this recipe. So I've got that here. So this part's pretty easy. I've got a tray here that I've got to catch the excess frosting, which actually is pretty handy. So you don't have to do that, but then they don't cool in their own excess frosting. It looks really nice and round. So then basically, you just put the frozen spice cake in, and I'm just using a regular spoon, kind of coating them up. And it's as easy as that. So then once you do that to all your cake balls, you let them dry out, sitting on here. And then what we're going to do with that other frosting that we made is we are going to add a little bit of, we're going to make some orange food coloring, a little red and yellow. And you can make this as orange as you want. So we're going to mix that up, pretty orange color. And I've got some mixed already too. So when these are sitting here, I'm just going to take a fork, and this is why we want that frosting to be a little bit thinner. We're just going to do a little fun little frosting drizzle on top. And you can do as much as or as little as you want of that. And so then over here I've got a plate, so you let these dry, and then I've got a plate over here. You can use whatever decorative plate that you would like, and put them out for all of your family and friends to enjoy this holiday season. Thank you for joining me.